Always keep the feast in remembrance, praising our God with a song when we're present. Glorious scars like a chain with a pendant. Spirit of joy I receive, so I'm sending. Spread it to my bros, that's my vibe. Rejecting the truth, then you know we can't hide. You know what's my circle, the gold and the purple. We act on God's laws, yeah, it's more than just verbal. So just raise your hand, Christ is coming down to save the fam. Remember the days of old, Christ is coming down to save your soul. I know the saints must roll, be patiently waiting though. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, the earth will glow. I said the earth will glow. The earth will glow.
Is a new day, we've come a long way. I was unhappy, but now I'm happy. I know my place and where I stand. I now know who I am and where I need to be. I'm filled with joy, the bloodline of a royal priesthood. 1 Peter 2:9. Who would have believed it? The earth will glow. You can't stop us now. We're taking over. And when Christ returns, and it'll be over.
So just
raise your hands. Christ is coming down to save the fam. Remember the days of old. Christ is coming down to save your soul.
I know the saints must roll.
Be patiently waiting though.
Thy kingdom come,
thy will be done, the earth will glow. I said the earth will glow. The earth will go.
Celeste, your body, you know we gon' get it. And we in the streets together, the sheep, you can say that we fishing. But God got intentions, and he got a mission to destroy all the minions. And the son of perdition, hunters, get them, runners, sprinting. The anger of Christ, we quenching. If you roll the dice, you finish. Hunters, get them, runners, sprinting. The anger of Christ, we quenching. Evolve to hunters from fishes.
Big brute talk that Jew way. Flooded with water, this truth is the new way. Pray for the Sabbath, then wait for the Sabbath. Been thinking about it since Tuesday. This is a movie, I don't mean a Blu-ray.
Yeah, 100 they souls in 4K. See it up close, swivel than ghosts. Keep it 100 like Touche. I'm talking about expansion. Look in the book, it's mansions. Flex on a hater like Samson. God give it Egypt for ransom. Whips on their back get damaged. Yo,
Psalm 149 been jamming. Yo, set a block on fire. To the chariots in the sky, my people been dying to vote. Your pastor been selling you hope. Your job been selling you dreams. Esau been selling you dope. In the form of a pope. But this right here for the freedom. This right here ain't for Edom. A Moab or Ammon, this here for the family.
Yeah, and we want it all. See Babylon fall. To rule over dogs. See all of them crawl. and acknowledge we the chosen. Angelic like Moses when he appeared with the Torah. Explore the book like Dora, mountaintop like horror. Go.
I ain't the spirit, so let's see your body, you know we gon' get it. And we in the streets to gather the sheep, you can say that we fishing. But God got intention, and he got a mission to destroy all the millions and set up perdition. Hunters, get them, runners, sprinting. The anger of Christ we quenching. If you are the dice, finish. Hunters, get them, runners, sprinting. The anger of Christ we quenching. If all the hunters can fish, yeah.
Hold up, real Jew, get up out my face, man. Watch what you say, yeah, them brews don't play. Pull a scripture, cut a demon, put a heathen in his place. Better fix your face, cause we run it. Through Christ receives we atonement. For them 12 tribes, yes, our time. Ain't no escaping this judgment. See Esau getting double. Match that, turn his ass into stubble. See Jacob a fire and Joseph a flame, and he'll be devoured. Now what shall remain? How for the Lord has spoken. Yeah, you know we coming back for his chosen. So come out my people so that we shall reign, and be not partakers or you reap the same. See, we them people scattered all across the nations. Last Trump, we uncorrupt, yeah, check the message. Black Messiah, King of King, it ain't no question. Straight from Basra, dyed garments in his fury, taking vengeance. So we reigning back to back to back to black to back. The fact that Christ is black, yeah, that's a fact. The kingdom back and shout out a dog over tongue against his people while we're ruling. Yeah, you know it ain't no stopping that. Scripts like fire, they lethal. Yeah, prepare slaughter for his people. Yeah, put the wings off an eagle. And all these other nations gon' bow when the Lord put an end to his kingdom like bye.
Gentlemen, may I have your attention?
Well, Fox 2 continue to...
The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
What it do? Welcome back to Surreal Sundays. This is your host, Old School Exit 9. Yeah. Checking out the chat, what's going on in the chat. All right. So last week we had some technical difficulties. If you've been noticing throughout the week, we've been doing some live testing, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we get through it tonight. All right. All praises. All right. We're going to try and pick up where we left off last week. You dig? So we was talking about the Chinese nationals smuggling shit into the country, the United States, and what have you. One particular thing they smuggled in was something that will cause problems with crops. Okay. And this past week, we had another incident. Someone else tried to smuggle some stuff through the airport on its way to the University of Michigan once again. So we're going to check that out. You know the headline, talking about Diddy, Jaguar Wright, allegedly or hinted towards Sean Combs if he had the HIV or not. Okay, so we're gonna check that out. We got some other stories. We got some updates on some things. Rodney Hinton, last week he finally got arraigned, and we also got another story of the lady in the, what's that pastor's name? Pastor Ricky Floyd. Okay, down in Memphis. So her trial starts. So we're gonna check all that stuff out. So, and then we got Snatch Shenanigans and a hot video. and this week's tidbit in health. So all that, you know, some commentary. We're going to chop it up tonight. So without further ado, let's get it.
You are now listening to some shit. All right, all right, all right, all right. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's check out what's going on in the chat before we get into it. Let's see who checked in tonight. Let's see who's checked in tonight so far. We got Mrs. O, of course. Mrs. O. Mrs. O is in the house. What's going on, Mrs. O? We got a special guest in the house, the one and only, the lady that started it all. We all wouldn't be here without this young lady. You know who it is, Miss Vanessa McCray. My mom is in the house. And we have our loyal moderator, A-Team. A-Team is in the house. All right. So let's get right into it. So we got the this news video from Fox 2. They're getting right into what happened a couple weeks ago. All right, then we got another story on the same subject in regards to what happened this past week. All right, so let's hop right into it.
Follow a news alert today involving 2 Chinese nationals accused of smuggling a dangerous pathogen into the United States.
And officials say the substance is a fungus that experts say could be used to threaten food crops if it spread. Fox News' Amy Lang joining us live now with what else she's learned. Amy.
Well, the complaint has certainly made for some interesting reading. Ruth and Taryn, investigators say this fungus could be used in agro-terrorism. It wipes out crops and sickens people and animals. And right now, it's just not clear what these Chinese scientists intended to do.
My name is Yunqing Jie.
33-year-old Yuxin Jian, a scientist and student from China working as a postdoctoral research fellow in a lab at the University of Michigan. On Tuesday, inside federal court, charged with conspiracy, smuggling, and making false statements. It's alleged her boyfriend, 34-year-old Yang Lu, also a scientist from China, was caught at Detroit Metro Airport smuggling a dangerous fungus into the country, Fusarium graminearum, a attacks barley, corn, and wheat, and could be used for purposes of agro-terrorism. According to this complaint, in July of 2024, Customs and Border Patrol found a wad of tissues in a pocket in Liu's backpack. Investigators say the tissues concealed a note in Chinese, a round piece of filter paper with a series of circles drawn on it, and 4 clear plastic baggies with small clumps of reddish plant material inside. Investigators say Liu lied about the materials before admitting he was smuggling them in to do research at the lab where his girlfriend was working at the University of Michigan. Investigators say Liu's iPhone contained an article titled 2018 Plant Pathogen Warfare Under Changing Climate Conditions. They also uncovered messages between the two conspiring to bring pathogens into the United States. He was denied entry and sent back. It's believed he's currently back in China. His girlfriend, Jian, is still here, now facing serious charges.
Conspiracy to commit an offense or defraud the United States, smuggling goods into the United States, false statements.
We're not allowed to have cameras in federal court, but I can tell you that this defendant looked very scared. She was handcuffed and shackled at the waist. She closed her eyes as the charges against her were read. According to the complaint, investigators say they found evidence that Jian smuggled biological materials into the United States prior to this, and that she is loyal to the Chinese Communist Party, which they say helped finance her studies and research.
Let me ask the government, what is your position on bond?
The government's seeking detention, Your Honor.
Seeking detention because they say she's a flight risk. The University of Michigan issued a statement condemning any actions that seek to cause harm or threaten national security. The university says it has received no funding from the Chinese government in relation to research conducted by the accused. So yeah, just a very interesting read, not a fungus that I have heard of before, and so it was quite educational to explore all of this. And again, we don't really know what the intention was.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, just by the nature of what it is that's why it's being assumed agro-terrorism?
Well, I think it's the fact that it could be used in agro-terrorism, and the fact that this, was being done sort of in secret. There is a question as to why you would try to smuggle this in if you had any kinds of good intentions.
But the fact that the university is saying that we had no connection with this type of research in itself just really casts a negative light on anything that they claim on the other end.
Yeah, it's obviously a situation where this was clearly not allowed. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't stick it in a crumpled up tissue in your pocket of your backpack if you were all on the up and
well, most definitely the way this stuff was smuggled in, it has these elements of bad intentions. Okay, you can strongly assume that nothing nice was going to come out of this. What's surprisingly is the connection with the University of Michigan. So, and of course, they're denying anything and everything, as they should, and what have you, but this is not the first case. This is not the second case. I want to switch over to see what we got here. See if I can blow this up some for you. All right. So my good buddy, ChatGPT is in the house. Yeah. This is some good stuff, man. It gathers information from all over the internet, provides you the sources it comes from, and everything, gives you good information real quick and from reputable sources. So, who's involved? We got Young Yin Jian, 33, a researcher at the University of Michigan. I am not purposely, but I am exaggerating, effing up their name. So, and then we got Zhong Yong Lu,
34, her partner, and a researcher at Zhejiang University in China. So why bring this shit all the way over on this side of the pond if you got universities in China to cut up, chop, and screw and look at underneath a microscope? Okay. Once again, I strongly believe this is bad intentions. So what happened? Okay, let me put it on my other scene. Okay, so what happened? In July 2024, Lou attempted to bring samples of Fusarium graminearum nerum, a plant pathogen, into the U.S. via Detroit Metro Airport. The samples were hidden in his luggage. He said he planned to study them at Michigan, where Gian worked, according to the WashingtonPost.com. See how that worked out? They give you where the information came from. Gian allegedly discussed smuggling plans with him as early as 2022. And according to federal filings, he pledged loyalty to the Chinese Communist Party in 2024. Okay? What is this pathogen? It's a crop threat, causes Fusarium head blight, a scab in grains like wheat, barley, maize, and rice. It's been present in U.S. agriculture for over a century, and annual costs cost U.S. farmers $200 to $400 million, according to Reuters.com. All right, health impact: produces vomit toxin that is in rare high dosage can cause humans and livestock. It's controlling grain supply through testing and fungicides. Potential weapon: the Department of Justice and the FBI argue it could be repurposed as an agro-terrorism weapon if modified for more virulence or resistance. So this stuff is modified for more virulence or resistance. So it causes vomit toxin. What is a vomit toxin? Can harm humans and livestock. Let me copy this here. What is a vomit toxin? Vomit toxin, also known as dioxyvalenol or DON. I think I got that right. My hooked on phonics is a little warm tonight. I feel pretty good about myself. Is a toxin produced by certain species of Fusarium fungi, especially Fusarium. Okay. Computer overload. I'm tired now. It commonly contaminates cereal grains like wheat, barley, corn, particularly in wet or humid growing conditions. Okay. It can cause vomiting in animals. So that's a vomit toxin. It can cause vomiting. So what degree of vomiting, So you can have episodes of vomiting so severe where you're in physical pain. It can potentially cause dehydration because you can't keep nothing on your stomach.
and what have you. That's just a layman's overview on what excessive vomiting can do, okay? Feed refusal, nausea, weight loss, so they don't want to eat because their stomach is upset. Let's see, in humans, high exposures may lead to nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, potential immune suppression in chronic or high dosages. Okay, so it can harm your immune system and make you subject you to sicknesses that otherwise you may be able to fend off, okay? So those are the side effects to that. Ultimately, what happens if you get your crops contaminated with this fungus? What do you have to do with the crops? You have to destroy it. You can't put it into the food supply for either animal or human. Okay, so it has the potential to cause famine as well. That's how that will cause famine. That's some real bad stuff going on there, people. This is not good at all. Not good at all. Crop rotation, fungus, housing control, fungicide treatments, breeding resistant grain varieties, proper grain storage and drying to reduce fungal growth post-harvest. Okay, so if this stuff gets out of hand and contaminates the entire crop, you have to destroy that thing. Can't put it into the food supply. That's bad stuff. That's bad stuff. Let's go back over here. Now, what happened last week? Well, let's go over this news report from Weon right quick based on what happened a couple of weeks ago, okay? Let's go over that right quick. And then we'll go over what happened last week.
A fungus meant to kill crops is dominating global headlines. And here's why. In the United States, 2 Chinese nationals are now facing serious federal charges. And what are they accused of? And how and why is a crop-destroying fungus at the heart of all of this? Let's break it all down for you. FBI Director Kash Patel, in a social media post, has said 2 Chinese nationals, 33-year-old Yunqing Jian and 34-year-old Zunyong Liu, have been charged with conspiracy, smuggling goods into the United States, false statements, and visa fraud. Now, this is about a dangerous fungus called Fusarium graminearum. That's the name of that fungus. In fact, why should this even be a case of such concern? This fungus infects crops like wheat, rice, corn, barley. It causes a disease called Fusarium head blight. In simple terms, it attacks the grain, turning kernels into withered, toxic husks. And that's not all. The fungus produces chemicals that are harmful to humans and animals. It can make people sick. According to the FBI, it causes vomiting, liver damage, reproductive defects in humans and livestock. And how exactly did these two individuals come into the picture? What is known so far? U.S. authorities say Liu tried entering the country.
So I want to pause it right here. I don't know if this was purposely left out in the information we just went over, but Weon just reported that it can cause liver damage as well. Okay, so not just vomiting, it can cause liver damage as well. This is not good stuff. This is not good at all, people.
Last July, through Detroit, officers found red plant material in his bag. At first, he claimed he had no idea what it was, but later he admitted that he brought it for research, specifically to study the fungus at a University of Michigan lab, where Jian, his partner, worked. The FBI says both had previously studied the same fungus in China. In fact, Liu had an article on his phone titled "Plant Pathogen Warfare Under Changing Climate Conditions," quote unquote. Text messages between the two suggest Jian was already growing the fungus in a university lab even before Liu arrived. But then that raises a bigger question. What exactly is agro-terrorism? And why are U.S. authorities calling this a possible case of it? And was it part of a larger plan? Agro-terrorism is the act of using harmful bugs, diseases, biological agents to attack a country's food supply. It's not just about crops, it's about destabilizing economies and governments by cutting off something every person needs, and that's food. Imagine this fungus spreading undetected through wheat farms. It could destroy harvests, spike food prices, hurt farmers, even cause panic in supermarkets. And in a country like the United States, where agriculture is a multi-billion-dollar industry, the damage could be massive. And here's the alarming part of all of this. This type of attack is hard to spot early on, and that's what reportedly makes agro-terrorism so dangerous and effective. Historically, agro-terrorism is not new. During World War II, German forces reportedly tried to sabotage Britain's potato farms using beetles. Even Japan explored the idea of using grain diseases during that time. And in 1984, a cult in America's Oregon poisoned salad bars with salmonella to sway an election, sickening over 750 people. Now back to this case. Jian is a biologist with a focus on cellular and plant development. Investigators saying she received funding from the Chinese government for her work. Liu, who first entered the U.S. with the fungus, told officials he intended to help with university research. However, the University of Michigan has publicly denied any Chinese funding for their research and says it's fully cooperating with the investigation. So where do things stand right now? Where does the case stand? The charges are serious. If proven, the duo could face long prison sentences. But beyond the courtrooms and the legal proceedings lies a very chilling reminder here. Food systems are more vulnerable than we think. Something like this deadly fungus could threaten entire crop fields.
So she basically reiterated what we talked about already, but added that this can also cause liver damage as well. So it's more than just a pathogen that can cause severe vomiting. All right. So let's check out. We got some activity going on in the chat. Some activity going on in the chat. Oh, okay, we got Mark Harris. Mark Harris is in the house. Shalom to you, sir. I don't know if a liver detox is going to turn around the effects of this one. It was a question posed in the chat. Was this a Chinese pathogen? I think as we go back to Chat GPT, let's go back to that right quick. I got it up here. All right. And it says here, highlight. Let me bump that up a little bit. Let me switch the scene here right quick and put it on video only. All right. So you can see it. I'm gonna highlight it. From Reuters. Causes for Syrian head blight. Okay, so we're gonna get to the point in regards to that question. It's been present in U.S. agriculture for over a century and annually costs U.S. farmers $240 million. So according to Reuters.com, this pathogen has been here. I believe the problem is that the way the Chinese nationalists smuggled this in to the country, these samples, to do a study. So the problem is, can they make this can they make variants of this that is resistant to the fungicides that they're using now? And I believe that's the angle, okay? And for some reason or another, even though they got universities in China, they wanted to take it to the U of M. Now, I've seen fields of crops and what have you managed by universities. So there's the agricultural department or what have you, whatever degrees or disciplines of study they have related to that. They own fields and fields of land to study plants and things like that or what have you. So I know that the universities have that going on for themselves. Also, they have sophisticated labs where they can do studies and stuff. And there's a very strong possibility that they're able to do something genetically to these funguses to make them resistant to the fungicides, which will make a bloom, so to speak, of funguses in the food supply. And for the crops that get through inspection will make people or animals sick. And the crops that are infected get destroyed. So that's potential for some major issues. That not only cuts down on the food supply, like Weon suggested, that it has economical impact as well. Okay, so you're talking about people getting sick, animals getting sick. Now you got livestock getting sick, so you cutting the food supply that way as well. Now your beef, your chicken. Who cares about the pork? We don't want the damn pig around no way. But it cuts out the food supply in so many ways, okay? And it hurts the population in a myriad of ways. So agricultural terrorism is a real thing and a very real threat. Okay, so for the simple fact that these people, the way they brought it in a napkin in their pocket, they didn't declare the thing, you know, it was very elusive, or tried to be. Very secretive. They did not go by the proper channels to bring something like that into the country. So it obviously already, just based off how they did things, has a very negative tag to it, and we'll just have to strongly assume that they was up to no damn good. Hope they get everything that the U.S. can imagine for them, and not because my position is not, well, it's more concerning my people. You know, I don't want to see any more ills put upon us that we already happen to deal with. So as far as, you know, being any patriotism or anything along them lines, that's not what I'm subscribing to at all. It's more so just the well-being of my people. I don't want to see anything come from what these Chinese nationalists are doing. All right, so let's go on to what happened last week in regards to the same shit.
To say the least. Say the least. The feds arrest a third Chinese national for allegedly smuggling biological materials into the United States and making false statements about it. According to the DOJ, the suspect is a PhD student in Wuhan. They say she sent 4 packages containing the concealed materials to a laboratory at the University of Michigan. Joining us now is Fox News contributor Andy McCarthy, a former assistant U.S. attorney. And I want to run by what a current U.S. attorney said about all of this. This is Jerome F. Gorgon Jr. The alleged smuggling of biological materials by this alien from a science and technology university in Wuhan, China, to be used at a University of Michigan laboratory is part of an alarming pattern that threatens our security. The American tax.
Now, we've heard of Wuhan before, haven't we? You know, nothing good comes out of Wuhan. So this is some bad stuff, boy. I tell you, Wuhan is the world capital for pathogens. Well, they can whip up a pathogen on your ass up in Wuhan. That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. Let's get back to the story.
Taxpayers should not be underwriting a PRC-based smuggling operation at one of our crucial public institutions. I mean, the fact that this stuff came from Wuhan, what are you thinking?
Well, it's alarming, John. Usually when you're talking about bioweapons, according to the complaint, what we're talking about here is roundworm, which is a parasite. So it's not a virus or a bacteria or a toxin, which is what we generally look for with bioweapons. But it's alarming in a number of ways. It could be involved in, you know, contamination of humans, of agriculture, of water supply. So you have to be concerned about that. The fact that it's coming from China, the fact that the student evidently swiped or wiped the communications device she had clean before she came here, I think 3 days before coming to the United States. All of that is alarming. I think, though, the Justice Department appears to be going at it with, appropriate caution. According to the press release they put out, they said that they hadn't even decided whether to indict the case yet. This person was arrested on a complaint, so we'll have to see going forward. I think they're trying to grapple with what they're dealing with.
This comes on the heels of what we saw last week, samples of certain fungi being seized. And those are fungi that, if they got out in the greater agricultural community here in the United States, could do enormous damage to our crops, even have a deleterious.
Okay, so as we see scrolling at the bottom, they had smuggling, they had mentioned about it, and then they got us scrolling on a lower third. Package was addressed, it was roundworms. Now they're bringing in roundworms. We go from funguses to roundworm. Man.
What the fuck, dude?
Wow. This is crazy. This is crazy. Roundworm. So now that's what they got caught bringing in this past week.
Serious effects on animals and humans.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And again, the thing is, if this was a random kid from a different country, we might be able to sort of slough it off a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you always have to be cautious. But because of the involvement in China, and because China presses its people and its companies into the service of its intelligence and military mm-hmm. activities, you have to assume the worst and hope as you investigate that it turns out to be benign.
All right, let's turn our attention to California, since that really is the big news of the day. So Gavin Newsom, the governor of California.
Okay, so they're getting ready to go into the what's they call that, the non-king day or what have you. So I just want to tell, we're going to hop on that subject right quick. People, my people. Stay out that shit. Don't take your ass down to them rallies or what have you, okay? Stay your ass from down there. That's their fight, okay? Now, we sidebarring a little bit. Now, they already done brought in the National Guard, and they've done that before. That's kind of past practice. That's nothing really alarming. What's alarming is that they brought down the Marines. They brought the Marines. Okay, yeah, what was going on over in LA and things of that nature and what have you. So they was huffing and puffing about ISIS. That I was getting the two things confused with one another. However, they are already saying, well, we know one county in Florida put this out, bold statement. You bring your behind down to the rallies, you're gonna be stopped. If you put up any kind of fuss, you're gonna get hurt badly. All right, so we're gonna pray for our brown brothers and sisters, and pray that what they're going through, that most of them, well, not all of them, but we can't say all of them, but most of them come out unscathed, and most have the wisdom not to put themselves in that situation. You know, this goes back to a conversation we had a while ago in regards to when some rednecks was trying to go into a black neighborhood in Ohio, right? And they met each other on an overpass, a freeway overpass, right? You know, so, and the conversation veered off into, you know, well, now those people are people in those communities walking around armed and shit, right? And what have you. And the thought is, or the thought that I have, amongst others, is these people made the guns you're carrying. These people have stockpiles of guns. If Smith & Wesson decide to stop manufacturing, these people own lathes and mills and grinders in their garage. They can manufacture their own guns. We don't have that equipment. What we have in our garage is a weight bench, a boom box with two 12s wired up to a stereo system, you know, probably some tools to work on the car. That's what we have in our garage. These people train their kids to hunt at a very early age. We throw our kids a tablet, tell them take their ass somewhere in the other room. These people have the National Guard, the Marines, the Army. Now, the National Guard is like a glorified police department. Not to throw them any shade, but they like an in-between. They're trained, they're not trained, the Marines is trained to knock that ass out. So are the police. But they also have some training to have other options as well. Marines, they train to kill and maim. It really ain't too much of an in-between. You're not coming out healthy after dealing with a Marine in most cases. And the National Guard is trained in crowd control and things of that nature. It ain't just two different beasts, man. And Trump has proven that he'll bring out the spear. Or the arrow. He'll bring out the Marines, which is like the number one go-to when it's time for war. On civilian soil. So for my people that, you know, are in these groups, like, me and Mrs. O was talking about this group just the other day. I believe they call themselves the Not Giving of the F Coalition or something to that effect. You're not moving nobody. You're not moving nobody. Our fight is not carnal. if we was in the scriptures like we supposed to be, we will know that thing. We will know that economics, taking up arms, getting into the political arena, these things will not and have not improve our condition. All right, so that's enough with that sidebar. So this past week they tried to put in or smuggle in roundworm. Okay. I'm going over some more information in regards to what happened. Let's go back over to GPT. Go back over to GPT, see what I gotta go over. Find Windows capture. Excuse me for slowing up the flow. Let me see if I can find this right quick. Okay, GPT. So what happened this past week? Arrested June 8, 2025, Detroit Metro Airport. Allegedly sent roundworm-related biological material in 4 concealed packages to the University of Michigan once again. She attempted to conceal the packages and lied to CBP agents. Had wiped her phone beforehand. Charged with smuggling, false statements, visa fraud, bond hearing pending, according to thesun.com. I mean, I'm going over different stuff. Russian-born Harvard researcher detained in February 2025 at the Boston Logan Airport, accused of bringing frog embryos from France without proper declaration. Frog embryos, creating, attacking frogs that have diseases in them. That's just some stuff I just made up. Don't take that for real and spread that across the internet, please. December. Okay. Vial thefts. Back in December 2019, Chinese medical student arrested at Boston Logan Airport, charged with stealing 21 biological research vials from a U.S. lab, attempting to smuggle them into China. So we got a lot of this activity going on, people. A lot of activity. A lot of this stuff going on. This is not the first or second, and obviously, well, not obviously, but we're just discovering that this is not the third. This is not the third. So, crazy things is going on with the Chinese nationalists bringing stuff into this country for whatever motive they have going on. And obviously there's bad intentions involved in what they're trying to do. Okay, so keep your ears glued, keep your eyes and ears glued to the news, people. Stay on top of this, okay? Or what have you. Be mindful of the food recalls and things of that nature, and stay on top of things like this. Don't get distracted by Diddy and who effed who and all that stuff, okay? There's some real shit going on that can directly affect you and your family. So stay abreast, stay aware, stay informed, so you can have the best chance on abating whatever ills may be coming your way. All right, folks? Let's go ahead and see what's going on in the chats. Okay, Dina Cox. Dina Cox has just subscribed. All right. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. I could have swore I turned that off. Okay, it's off. All right. Next up, Rodney Hinton Jr. Okay, let's check out what's going on. There's a little update on what's going on with him. He's the father who ran over a sheriff. Believe this happened down in Cincinnati, Ohio. All right. Let's get this
ability of 3
fixed
to
right
11
quick.
years.
Just a little update on what's going on with him. I didn't get any, I really didn't look for what was going on with the son. Right now, they're still doing their investigations and all that blah, 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 and trying to figure out how to get the cops off the hook once again, or what have you. And honestly, you know, we went over this before. We looked it up. We looked up what can be just cause for a cop to delete you. And we discovered that basically, now there are departmental procedures and policies in place, but the basic law is that if a cop sees, or they say they see you with a weapon, a lethal weapon, they can delete you while you're running away. Because they can say you're running off into the community, and you can pose a danger to others. That's just one angle on what they can use to justify deleting you while your back is towards them. Okay? So we looked over that. We ran over that a couple weeks ago, and what have you. And I recall going over that information in my criminal justice class. So now let's check out, let me get my, what's the name up? Rodney Hinton. See what's going on with this individual.
That could mean he could face the death penalty if convicted. Let's listen in to Judge Jody Lubers.
Here today because Mr. Hinton has been indicted by the grand jury on the two counts of aggravated murder with death penalty specifications, 1 count of murder, a specialty felony, and 2 counts of felonious assault. Mr. Hinton, if you want to be represented by an attorney but cannot afford one, I will appoint 2 attorneys who are certified by the Ohio Supreme Court to handle death penalty cases. If you hire your own attorney, he or she does not need to be death penalty certified. You can hire 1, 2, or as many lawyers as you want or can afford. If you are indigent and need an attorney appointed, I will select 2 attorneys that are certified by the Ohio Supreme Court. It is my understanding, sir, that you wish to hire your own attorney, and in fact, that you have retained Mr. Bennett to represent you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett, you are representing him, isn't that correct? Yes, Your Honor. Okay, thank you so much. I do need to tell you, Mr. Hinton, I do believe that you have qualified for public defender appointment. Is that correct, Mr. Kennedy?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
And in fact, was an affidavit prepared regarding his indigency?
Yes, when Mr. Hinton was in Room A on the third, he did speak to qualified, briefly qualified as being able to be appointed counsel.
Okay, and was that affidavit filed with the clerk's office or with the courts?
It stays with the original case file and all the paperwork for that, but yes, it is an affidavit that stays with the financial qualification form in the file, and I have provided that original to the court.
Okay, and thank you so much for that. That does not get filed with the clerk's office. Okay, just wanted to check and be sure. Okay, thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate that, being here. Okay, all right, so you have Mr. Bennett as your attorney. That's fine, we're good to go. I just wanted to make sure that was clear. And so what we will do is we will begin with the reading of the indictment. So, Ms. Sarah, if you would like to begin. First I will ask, has the defendant been served with a copy of the indictment?
Judge, he has been served with a copy of the indictment, and I have went over the indictment.
Okay, wonderful. And is counsel prepared to waive any defects in the service of the indictment?
So waived.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Go ahead, Ms. Sarah.
So this is case number B25-02219. Rodney L. Hinton, you've been indicted with 2 counts, aggravated murder with specification, capital death penalty cases, 1 count murder, special felony, and 2 counts felonious assault. You've already stated that you received a copy of the indictment. How do you plead?
I will on behalf of Mr. Hinton.
Not guilty.
Excuse me.
Okay, all right. So, Mr. Hinton, I need to go over some rights with you, okay? So, the first and the second count of the indictment are aggravated murder, and it is what is called a special felony, and it carries with it the possibility of the death penalty, which may be imposed, making this what we call a capital murder case. Although a capital murder case is procedurally much more complicated, most of the rights you have in a death penalty case are the same as any other type of criminal matter. The aggravated murder charge is also accompanied by 1 specification, which we will talk about in just a minute, okay? You are presumed to be innocent, which means the state of Ohio has to prove that you are guilty if they can. They do this by calling witnesses to the stand and presenting evidence. All the witnesses have to testify in your presence, and your attorney will have the right to cross-examine each of these witnesses to test their truthfulness, and this is the right of confrontation. You have the right to call witnesses also, and if there are any witnesses who will not come to court voluntarily, I will order them by court to court by way of subpoena, and this is the right of compulsory process. You have the right to have this case heard by a jury of 12 people. They would hear and decide the evidence. All 12 must be convinced beyond a reasonable doubt of your guilt in this case in order for you to be convicted. If the jury finds you guilty of the crime and the specification, they can recommend the imposition of a death penalty. They can also recommend one of the life sentences options, which I will talk about in just a minute. In the alternative, you have the right to waive a jury and have the case tried to a 3-judge panel. In this event, myself and 2 other judges would hear the case, decide the evidence, and if necessary, determine the sentence. The trial will be bifurcated, that is, divided into 2 parts. One is the trial phase with either the jury or the 3-judge panel, and the second is the sentencing phase, which would happen if you have a jury or a 3-judge panel. Either way, there's still 2 phases to the trial, okay? You understand? Okay. At the trial phase, the jury or the 3-judge panel will determine whether the state has proved beyond a reasonable doubt the crime of aggravated murder and whether the aggravated circumstances in the specification have been proven, also beyond a reasonable doubt. If you are found guilty of the principal offense, but not guilty of the specification, I will sentence you to one of the following sentences: life imprisonment without possibility of parole, life imprisonment without parole for 30 years, life imprisonment without parole for 25 years, or life imprisonment without parole for 20 years. If you are found guilty of the principal offense and the specification, we will move to a second phase of the trial known as the sentencing phase. The sentencing phase is presided over by the same jury or the same three-judge panel that heard the trial. At this phase, the state has the burden of proving the aggravating circumstances are sufficient to outweigh the factors in mitigation. The aggravating circumstance in this case is that the offense was committed and that the victim, Larry Henderson, was a law enforcement officer, and you had reasonable cause to know or knew he was a law enforcement officer, and either at the time he engaged in his duties or it was your specific purpose to kill a law enforcement officer. The prosecution has a burden of going forward with evidence that proves the aggravated circumstance. You have the burden of going forward with evidence of any factors in mitigation of the death penalty. Mitigating factors are those that lessen your moral culpability or diminish the appropriateness of the death penalty as a sentence. They can include your age, lack of prior criminal record, mental illness, etc. Just about anything can be a mitigating factor. The crime itself is not an aggravated circumstance, but it can be a mitigating factor depending upon the nature and the circumstance of the offense. You have the right to present evidence in the sentencing phase and have the right to compulsory process at this phase also. You have the right to remain silent at both the trial phase and the sentencing phase. This means no one can call you as a witness for the state. Whether or not you testify is up to you and your attorney. If you exercise your right to remain silent at the trial phase, the prosecutor is not allowed to comment on your silence, and I will instruct the jury not to hold your silence against you. At the sentencing phase, you can remain silent. You can testify under oath or make an unsworn statement. If you make an unsworn statement, you will not be subject to cross-examination. If the jury finds beyond a reasonable doubt the aggravating circumstances outweigh the mitigating factors, they will recommend a sentence of death. It is then incumbent upon me to make my own determination based upon a similar weighing process whether death is the appropriate sentence. If I agree with the jury's recommendation, I will impose the death penalty. If I do not agree with the jury's recommendation, I will impose a sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, or life imprisonment without parole for 30, 25, or 20 years. If the jury does not find beyond a reasonable doubt the aggravating circumstance outweighs the factors in mitigation, then one of the life sentences will be imposed.
So I would have to review this. I've reviewed this a couple of times over, but from what I gather, you got different forks in the road, so to speak. So we're first going to deal with being charged with his charges. If guilty, then the aggravated component has to be weighed in, and that branches off to a capital case. What have you. If the aggravated component cannot be proven or what have you, then we're still guilty of these charges, but now we're not facing capital murder, we're just facing the different life sentences. Okay, so as a brief overview of what's going on, that's what she's explaining to him. Unfortunately, it doesn't look good. The defense has already expressed that they're going to go with mental illness. Okay, there is history. He does have history of mental illness, and it's quite understandable that, you know, he wasn't able to handle the deletion of his son. So anybody in the uniform could get it. All right. So I'm not in agreement with his actions. I understand him. I get it. If he actually is suffering from mental illness, I get it. And I'm just gonna drop the mic on that. I'm not gonna go further off into that. Let's pray that he gets either acquitted or judged deservingly what he's supposed to get. Let's pray that he gets what he's supposed to get, okay? I'll put it out there like that. And that's fair. All right? Next, we're going to get off into some crazy... Hold on. 1 second. Oh, yeah. An update on the Ricky Floyd's case. All right. Let's get to that.
In Memphis.
Let me change the owner on this right quick. W-R-E-G. All right, that's the owner. Hey, look, we doing real good tonight. We're getting a lot of views tonight. Okay, we kind of smoking. All right, so what I need you to do, if you like what's going on, you like the content, you like what's coming out, you know, like, share, and subscribe. Share on Facebook. Share on Instagram. Share on TikTok. Share on what used to be called Twitter. I don't know what they call it now. But tell them this is happening right now. Come and check it out, all right? Good content. Good content on what's going on in our community, all right? Sometimes we talk about some bullshit, but most of the time we talking about some real shit over here, all right? So I put the bullshit up because most of us like to see what's going on with that, and then I'm gonna hit you with some real shit, some stuff that you need to know while you're here trying to get entertained on some bullshit. So let's go ahead and check out what's going on with the lady who deleted Ricky Floyd, all right?
This is News Channel 3 at 4.
Topping your news leader first at 4, the woman charged in connection with the deadly shooting of Memphis pastor Ricky Floyd earlier this year was back in court this morning for a preliminary hearing. This would determine if the case moves forward. Thank you for joining us. I'm April Thompson.
I'm Alex Coleman. In the end, the judge decided there was enough evidence to continue. WREG's Dorita Patterson with what's new and with what's next.
The wheels of justice are continuing to turn at 201 Poplar in the case of Samantha Marion. 84 days after it's alleged she shot and killed Pastor Ricky Floyd. From the beginning, she has called this a case of self-defense, but prosecutors argue otherwise. There was a preliminary hearing Wednesday here inside Judge Taylor Batchelor's courtroom. This would determine if there is enough evidence to move forward. Only one witness took to the stand, a responding officer who was dispatched here to Mama's Bar and Grill in South Memphis. Before hearing from that officer, those in the courtroom heard the 911 call made by the woman who was charged with the deadly attack. Take a listen. Floyd was unable to survive his gunshot injury as he was pronounced dead at the scene. And court, listening to every disturbing detail from that fateful night, were friends and family of Floyd who were seated roughly 20 feet from the accused. The court asked we not show them. Marion not only having to face a judge, but the victim's loved ones, to include longtime friend and state lawmaker Antonio Parkinson.
It's sad and unfortunate, that we're here because, because of all of the emotion that happens in these situations. It alters lives, unfortunately.
Marion's defense attorney had the chance to question the witness.
Investigating homicides. Do you have any experience as a detective? Detective work in the neighborhood.
At the conclusion of that witness, the judge called for a brief recess, coming back with a decision the case would move forward.
But for today's purpose, I will find there's probable cause for voluntary manslaughter.
They have the ability to present it to grand jury, and we have to wait and see what the grand jury does.
As you heard from the judge, there was probable cause for the voluntary manslaughter charge. Samantha Marion hopped on the elevator, flanked by family members, as she will remain free on the $100,000 bond. A story we'll continue covering in order to keep you updated. Reporting for your news.
All right, found probable cause for manslaughter. All right, she's saying self-defense. There's aerial camera footage showing something different. They still, I say it's some other stuff going on. It hasn't came out yet. That's why I'm following this story so tough, because I wanna be right. So I can get on here and be like, I told you so. But I still believe they knew each other. However, that component of the story has not been brought out. What has been brought out, that these two are totally two different strangers, are arguing over scriptures at a diner at 1 o'clock in the morning. Who do that? Well, obviously Ricky Floyd and this young lady does. So we'll stay tuned, see what's going on with that, and get on to the next thing in the lineup. This is going to piss you off. Right here, 17-year-old.
But we begin.
17-year-old accused of stealing a car. This went down in Philadelphia. This was about 10 days ago. We got a A-team say, I say that also, there's a lot going on and they're protecting the pastor. Oh yeah, trying to protect that reputation because, they said he did a lot in the community and what have you. Obviously, he likes to go to the diner at 1 a.m. and argue with folks over scriptures. So we're going to go ahead and keep that narrative going and see if it stands the test of time. But over in Philly, we got 17-year-old jacking cars and jacking hoo-hoo. All right, so let's get into the story.
With an arrest in the kidnapping and rape of a 12-year-old girl, a teenager is facing charges in the heinous crime.
Yeah, the 17-year-old is accused of stealing a car while the girl was sleeping inside. Action News reporter Sharifa Jackson now live outside Special Victims Unit in Hunting Park with what we know about the disturbing details. Sharifa.
Well, Bryant, I can tell you, police say that the family of the victim, even investigators, are really grateful that this suspect was taken into custody rather quickly. They say the 17-year-old was arrested this morning at his home in West Philadelphia. There's relief today as news broke that the car thief and sexual assault suspect was taken into custody. Police say it was a 17-year-old at the center of Friday's disturbing missing child case.
It's just tragic all around.
In the 25th district will be a found in abduction. The victim was an off-white Ford Taurus. There's a juvenile in the rear of the vehicle.
It all began around 9:30 Friday evening. The Ford Taurus was left running with the keys still in the ignition along Germantown and Erie Avenues. The 12-year-old was sleeping in the back seat when police say the suspect stole it. The frantic search for the girl lasted nearly 30 minutes.
About 20 minutes later, at around 9:53 p.m.,
Our brave survivor was located at Broad Street and Roosevelt Boulevard.
Investigators say before being dropped off, she was raped by the car thief. The car was later recovered in West Philadelphia along 54th and Poplar Streets. Police say DNA and evidence left in the vehicle played a huge role in this arrest.
That evidence was submitted to our Office of Forensic Science, where it was processed and analyzed, resulting in a positive DNA hit.
And this arrest took less than a week. Today, Captain Parker repeatedly calling the survivor brave for her role and participation in making this arrest happen.
She's going through the motions, the challenges, but I will say she's very smart, she's very intelligent, and she's one brave little girl.
We're told that teen was set to be arraigned today. We're waiting to see if this teen will be charged as an adult. He's being charged with rape, contact with a minor, and other related offenses. We're live from the Special Victim.
That's absolutely out of this world. So, believe they were homeless or something to that effect, and the girl is in the car. He jumps in, steals the car, and steals her innocence. With that one, I give him, hey, you need, I can't really express what I really want to say, but I pray you get everything you deserve. I'll leave it like that. I'll leave it like that. Stop leaving your children unattended. I don't care if you running in the store, grabbing whatever you need to grab for 5 hot fucking seconds or not. Stop leaving your children unattended. Don't let them go over to your best friend's house, your family member's house, their friend's house, doing any overnights, anything like that, okay? They need to, if you have other people around, everybody need to be in the common area where everybody can be seen at the same damn time, okay? Stop leaving your kids unattended out in public, all right? We got people out here that, predators, straight demons. Straight demons. Stealing cars and stealing innocence. Where we at in this show? How long we been on so far? Hour, 30 minutes. Okay, let's get into the main topic, the reason why we have 400 views tonight. Let's get it.
Could have that opportunity just like everybody else.
He actually caught HIV, like.
Okay, so Jaguar Wright showed up on Real Life Street Stars, right? This came out 2 weeks ago on Hood TV, okay? Now, make sure I'm at the right spot. I'm not gonna play the whole video. Don't want no copyright issues and all that crazy crap. So I'm only gonna play what needs to be played, all right? Here we go.
Could have that opportunity just like everybody else.
He actually caught HIV, like having like a lot of women.
Oh yeah, let's just go down the rabbit hole of all of his sins.
I'm just saying.
You want to know what's wild about that though? He faced that head up.
He did.
And he didn't stop. And he didn't stop doing what he's done.
He an advocate. Now he did do that. And he
Period.
made,
Like, listen to me. He faced that head up. How many dudes is running around undetectable, G,
come on,
in the game?
man.
Because I could tell you 20 right now that I could rattle off names.
And get this, it was also alleged that Diddy's baby mama, Kim Porter, was HIV positive, and if her real autopsy report had been revealed, it would raise a lot of questions about how she got it, which could have brought Diddy back into the picture, and he didn't want that. Now, I don't know how true this is, but this is what is being talked about. Now, there are whispers that prosecutors have got the names of celebs allegedly infected by Diddy, and guess who's popping up? Mostly his so-called boy toys. And man, some of these names ain't even that surprising once you start looking at the history and connecting the dots. Let's start with Usher. Usher was allegedly named in this mess. And honestly, it ain't all that shocking when you rewind the clock and look at the past.
Okay, and we're gonna leave it at that off of Hood TV's take on this. But Hood TV got it from Real Life Street Stars. Let's go on there right quick. Let's go on there right quick. Okay, so we got a couple of shows on here with them and Jaguar Wright. One title says Jaguar Wright goes to Diddy trial, weighs in on freak offs, Casey's testimony. Jaguar Wright returns the uncensored truth. I believe that's where that came out. That was a year ago, okay? So that story was a year ago. She showed up at his trial 4 weeks ago. Jaguar Wright, Truth and Consequences Part 2. She goes off into some other stuff and what have you. So when looking into the story, I found out that it came from this source about a year ago, but this is the first time that I stumbled across it. And obviously for the 415 that checked in tonight, it's the first time that they found out about it, or they know, or they've seen anything about it, okay? Or they want to catch an update. If you're interested, go over to Real Life Productions, subscribe. I believe you gotta give them a couple of, gotta do a subscription with them or what have you. But if you want to get the story straight from the source, Real Life Productions, that's where to go to get this interview with Jaguar Wright, right? Let's see what we got. Now, for a bit of clarification, my homeboy ChatGPT says, in a December 25th and 24 interview at Real Life Productions, singer Jaguar Wright made statements suggesting that Sean Combs is living with the HIV. She remarked, P. Diddy had the opportunity like everybody else. You know what's wild about that though? He faced that head up. He didn't stop. He didn't stop doing what he was doing. How many dudes is running around undetectable? Okay. Wright further claimed that she could identify at least 20 other men she believed are in similar situations. You know, what we just went over, right? What we just went over. However, some reports, this is what I want you to understand, okay? This, because there's always two sides, three sides to what's going on. However, some reports suggest that Wright's comments were misinterpreted and that she actually referring to basketball legend Magic Johnson. I do not understand how that confusion came about, but that came from lastly.com. That's who injected the confusion. It came from lastly.com. As of now, there have been no official response from Sean Combs regarding Wright's statement. Okay? So he hasn't confirmed or denied. Okay, further it goes on. You can watch the Jaguar Wright discuss her allegations about Sean Combs. And it also urges you to please note these claims are unverified and have not been substantiated by credible sources, mainly Sean Combs himself. Okay? So that's the inside scoop on Sean Combs and the Hive, whether he has it or not. So as we was going through you know, trying to get as much information we can on this, I ran across stories. If you go ahead and put in a Google search or a YouTube search, you got people saying he contracted it from prison, which means he recently got it. Okay. And then we got Jaguar Wright saying that, you know, he been had it. Okay. So the jury is out on that. The jury is out on that. We will find out soon enough what's going to go on with that. In regards to what happened about a week or so ago with Sean Combs, let's check out what went down in court in regards to that. Let's see. Okay, the judge warns Combs could be excluded from courtroom for repeatedly nodding at jury.
There is breaking news just now in the trial ongoing of Sean Diddy Combs. Our Laura Coates has been covering. She's outside the court. Tell us about the theatrics inside the court.
There was a major moment just now inside of the Diddy trial. While the jury had left the room, the judge had a conference with the actual attorneys, at which point the judge said, I was so clear this morning to Mr. Agnifilo, who is the lead counsel. I was so clear this morning there were not to be any reactions to this jury. There were not to be any theatrics. Was I or was I not clear? Mr. Agnifilo said that they were clear about it. He then admonished Sean Diddy Combs, the defendant in this RICO trafficking and prostitution case, that he had been nodding at the jury. He had been looking straight at the jurors. The judge, in no uncertain terms, said that that was not the correct behavior and that he threatened to preclude Sean Diddy Combs from being inside of the courtroom for possibly the duration of his own trial if he continued to look at the jurors and nod and react in any way to the testimony that was coming in. This was a really big moment, of course, for the judge to make this statement. He is on trial, of course, fighting for his life, could spend the rest of his life in prison if he is convicted of all 5 charges. The judge said he expects this not to happen again, that the defendant in his case would look at the jurors, would nod, or in any way react. Now, you can imagine.
So Combs up in there doing some subtle bullying going on. So while, you know, they having the proceedings, Sean Combs over there sitting like, we used to call that in school. That was you knew what was going down at 2:30. 2:30 in the afternoon. It was popping off. So Sean Combs decides that he's going to do some Mark Harris says he was saying, take that.
You a nasty ass motherfucker.
Boy, that's nasty, boy. I tell you, that's one nasty individual. Take that. No. So he's doing some subliminal bullying. Okay, so there's stories about him that, you know, he does have the ability to reach out and touch someone. Okay, I meant as far as, you know, deleting people or putting people in harm's way. All right, and I'll leave it at that.
You a nasty ass motherfucker.
Boy, I tell you. Let's finish what this reporter got to say.
Imagine if you are the jury in this case, hearing testimony come in where the defense was scoring some significant points to a witness by the name of Bonna, who they tried to chip away from her credibility line by line, even suggesting she did not know the date of the alleged dangling off of the balcony incident, or that she was somehow in cahoots with Cassie Ventura to concoct some narrative and to promote Bonna's own civil lawsuit. As you have the impression for the juries, if he's not able to react in some way, how would that possibly hamstring the defense? This just happened. Sean Diddy Combs threatened with not being able to be present for his trial if he reacts or nods and looks at the jury who is waiting to decide his own fate.
And Laura, as someone who has been in a number of courtrooms, seen a number of cases, how rare is it for something like this to happen, for a judge to say, listen, you keep doing this, you're not going to be sitting here for your own trial?
I have seen it, of course, with theatrical and particularly disruptive defendants who are told to calm down or not to be theatrical in the way they are presenting to the jury to sway them. I've also heard it if the judge believes that somehow the conduct of the defendant might possibly influence or intimidate the jurors in this case, direct eye contact or otherwise. But to have this particular reaction in this high profile of a case when a defense is well versed in the appellate process and knows full well that anything that the judge orders their defendant and client not to do, if a conviction results, could very well go up on appeal. And of course, you've got the common sense notion. Imagine, if you will, the hypothetical. If you were accused of a horrendous crime, and the jurors will naturally, as human beings, look to the defendant for some human reaction of any kind. If one is not provided, there could be some adverse inference drawn for that jurors. And so if you are a defendant, it is a human instinct to react. The judge, however, had a very tight leash on this trial, including the attorneys and beyond. This was a moment that I have not seen where Sean Diddy Combs, who is normally stoic, looking ahead, has been threatened. If he reacts and looks at the jury and nods along with the testimony in an effort to try to persuade them on his own thoughts, he could possibly not be present for his own criminal federal trial.
In your experience, Laura, and that's a prospect, we don't know what's going to happen, but does not having the defendant present, is that a disadvantage typically for the defense?
It could very well be, of course, because the jurors are going to be left to try to understand why he is not present. The judge could give a curative instruction, which the judge said today, you don't want to hear the instruction I would give that jury, which led the people in the audience who were remaining. We were all getting ready to leave out. There was a break that was sustained for about a 30-minute period. I lingered behind waiting to hear their different arguments that might be raised, and to my stunning surprise, hearing the judge give this admonishment and saying, quote, let me make my own record here. If the defendant is not present in his case, particularly in a case of this magnitude, the jury could be left to think of what they might conclude and infer. And no defense counsel wants their client's absence to be interpreted independently by a jury of his peers.
And Laura, again, just for anyone joining us, we are following this breaking news that just happened in the courtroom where the judge admonished Sean Diddy Combs and saying that he could be excluded from the courtroom if he continued to make faces at the jury. I do want to ask you as we look.
Okay, so they just keep, regurgitating the same talking points. So hopefully Combs chill on the bullying tactics and what have you. And, trying to get into the heads of the jurors, all right? So, for his own, so he can get the best chance at the outcome he wants, okay? So, hopefully he act right for, act right on his own behalf. I'm not in agreement with his lifestyle or his alleged lifestyle. In my opinion, everybody who dealt with this man were consented to the acts that they all engaged in. I have a problem with him dealing with anybody who were children, okay? I have a problem with him dealing with any young people who were impressionable by way of him flashing a certain lifestyle that they're not used to. But in order to attain this, they have to do that. So I'm in disagreement with that. Overall, what I'm hearing is consensual adults. I don't see trafficking per se, things of that nature. So that's my take on that. So, like I said, hopefully he acts in a way that benefits him. All right, so he can get the best outcome for himself. However, I do pray that him and everyone who participated with him gets the judgment from the Most High that they deserve. And with that, we're gonna go into an intermission. All right, but before I do that, let me hold on one second. Let me get my fingers here. You see that QRC code in the corner right there? Hit that and support the channel through Cash App. If you don't have Cash App, you can use the link in the chat and support the show through PayPal. All right. Like, share, and comment. We got a lot going on in the chat tonight. We got a lot going on in the chat tonight. We got comedians up in here. If you don't want the executive producer trying to be in all your videos, dancing in all your videos, come to Death Row. and then he dropped the mic. Yep. So You like what we putting out? Like, share, and subscribe. Hey, comment. Hey, moderators, share this. I know you got TikTok and other stuff. Put a link on there saying what's going down over at Real Talk with Mrs. O show. Tell them that Surreal Sundays is on. Okay? All right? We'll appreciate that thing. All right? And now we're going to go into the intermission, reiterating what I just expressed. Let's get it.
Shalom, family. This is Mrs. O. Thank you for joining our channel. If you enjoy our content, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. If you would like to support our channel, you can do so by scanning the QR codes to the Cash App or the PayPal in the lower left corner. We would greatly appreciate it. Enjoy the show.
All right. So next up, we got Surreal Sundays Snatch Shenanigans.
Only on Local 4, the woman accused of leaving.
Remember that lady who abandoned her kids this past winter? She's back. That's right. This snatch is back. Goofy ass.
Local 4, the woman accused of leaving her own kids in a Pontiac home for years is finally out of custody after bonding out of jail with a few conditions. It's a story that gained national headlines. Kelly Bryant posted bond today as she faces several charges, including child abuse. Thanks for joining us at 11. I'm Ty Steele.
I'm Kimberly Gill. On Valentine's Day, her 3 children, ages 15, 13, and 12, were found alone in a Pontiac home. Police say the children have been left alone since at least the year 2021. As Victor Williams shows us, her bond was dropped earlier this year from $250 million to $50,000 back in March.
Yeah, we knew this was potentially coming with such a dramatic bond reduction. We're talking about from $250 million all the way down to $50,000. It was only a matter of time. Kelly Bryant walking out of the Oakland County Jail, finally free after spending over 100 days behind bars for allegedly leaving her 15, 13, and 12-year-old kids at home for years in the worst of conditions. Oakland County prosecutor Karen McDonald talking about the severe.
The children were afraid to come out of their hiding places and to speak with the police. Police had to repeatedly advise the children that they were there to help and they were safe.
Okay, so know what happened to the audio. Not know what happened to the audio. But let's see if I can get a picture. Look at this. Grinning. Grinning. Now, I know the law says that they're not supposed to have a bond so high where it's something to the effect where you can't afford it. Or what have you. I think that's constitutional or something. I'm not sure, but I recall hearing something to that effect. So the $250 million, it being reduced, I get it. However, not all the way down to 50,000. What's 10% of that? 5? I say that her stuff should have been at least a $500,000 or $250,000, right? So those who wanted her out so bad would have to give up some houses, refinance some houses and some shit to get us dumb ass out.
You're such a dumb piece of shit.
That's right. You are such a dumb.
You're such a dumb piece of shit.
Exactly. Exactly. So I believe she made it before, but she makes it once again to Surreal Sundays Snatch Shenanigans. And again, I hope that you get what you're supposed to get from the Most High. Get rightful judgment. All right. And we're gonna go ahead and for our tidbits in health. Tidbits in health. See one moment here. And we are getting audio problems from our hookup. We'll be a moment. All right. I'm not gonna spend much time on this audio problem that popped out of nowhere with the YouTube. Don't have time to figure it out. We're too late in the game for this right now. Try one thing, and if that ain't it, we're gonna go ahead and close out. All right, so I don't see anything where I can look at quickly. So we're gonna go ahead and close out because I'm quite sure that the video won't work. Let me close out of this and come back into it. Let me try something one time. Before I close out. All right, so we're not getting any audio. I'm gonna go ahead and close out. So So we wasn't able to get the hot video tonight, and we wasn't able to finish off that news report, but we got the gist of what was going on. And in regards to the tidbits in health, it was getting into the best foods to remove fat from the liver, okay? So I'll probably bring that back up next week once I figure out what happened tonight and what have you. But we going back into what we was talking about earlier tonight in regards to those Chinese nationalists. And if you can see what's going on in the world, you know, you got a lot of chaos going on in the world right now, right? You got Iran, you got the U.S., Iran, you got Israel, you got Russia, and Ukraine. You got all these players in the game, right? You know, and you got China doing what they doing, you know, and what have you. It reminds me of this scripture right here. Okay, it says, the Lord of hosts hath sworn by himself, saying, surely I will fill thee with men as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a shout against thee. The caterpillars. What do caterpillars do to a plant? Consume from within. Destroy from within. And this is not only with the Chinese nationalists, but with other particular nations that are dwelling within the U.S. It's prophesied for them to activate and to bring what we see on TV that's far away, don't bring it to your doorstep. So now we got the caterpillars coming in, and trying to destroy from within. Okay, that's what that reminded me of. Another thing that this situation reminded me of in regards to the fungus that they bringing in, or is already present, but it seems like there's some studies going on, or even that might have been a super fungus itself that they was trying to get into the country to that was already resilient to the fungicides. It says, for nation shall rise against nation. Chinese nationalists shall rise against the United States of America, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines, pestilence. And I'm going to stop right there. You can see the rest for yourself. Famines, pestilence. This is how this is going to come about, one of the ways. There's going to be people that's going to put stuff in the water. There's going to be people that's going to put stuff in the food. There's going to be people that's going to do things to our agriculture and to our livestock, to create sickness, to create food shortages, to create economic fall. So stay watchful. Keep your ear to the streets. Be aware of what's happening. Don't be totally consumed by the NBA Finals and Sean Diddy. Be aware of what's going on in the world. Hey, thanks for checking in with us tonight. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you decided to rock with us here tonight, and we appreciate and love you for that thing. I've been your host, Old School X and 9. This has been Surreal Sundays. And remember, you are your brother and sister's keeper. With that,
just can't back out, cause it getting hard now. You know you built for this, just might get killed for this. It's gonna pay off in the end, make sure you get in. Can't let your guard down, better not let God down. You just can't back out, cause it getting hard now. You know you built for this, just might get killed for this. It's gonna pay off in the end, just make sure you get in. It's your spirit warring with your flesh, trying to get the best of you. It's all in your head and in your mind, can't let it mess with you. Trials and tribulation, that's every day, that's what we go through. Are you gonna face it? Stand up like a man, tell me what you gonna do. No more complaining, gotta walk blameless, gotta be humble. You might not get famous. We go through changes, we go through phases. This my life story, just flip the pages. Just keep enduring, keep the law. Cause you don't want it, call you could've still been out here lost. Woke you up to the truth, so don't sleep on it at all. Try not to fall, try hard to ball. Can't let your guard down, better not let God down. You just can't back out, cause it getting hard now. You know you built for this, just might get killed for this. It's gonna pay off in the end, make sure you get in. Can't let your guard down, better not let God down. You just can't back out, cause it getting hard now. You know you built for this, just might get killed for this. It's gonna pay off in the end, just make sure you get in.
I'm standing up, I'm standing tall, ain't laying down, cause I'm standing on it. Oppression make a grown man mad, make you cry, don't it? I pray to God that life so hard, so I'm calling on ya. I gotta endure until the end, I know they counting on me. Just got some bad news, damn, man, they killed my homie. Hit him 9 times, he never saw it coming. Remember the last time, I think I saw you, bruh. Gave you a flyer with the knowledge, you didn't want it, bruh. Damn, I'ma speak my mind, I'ma tell you the truth. It's hard on them, it's hard on us, it's hard on me, it's hard on you. I'm built for this, might equipped for this, might get killed for this. I pray you repent before your time is up, your time is spent.
Can't let your guard down, better not let God down. You just can't back out, cause it getting hard now. You know you built for this, just might get killed for this. It's gonna pay off in the end, make sure you get in. Can't let your guard down, better not let God down. You just can't back out, cause it getting hard now. You know you built for this, just might get killed for this. It's gonna pay off in the end.